Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Untitled Mocha, and on this channel we talk all things crochet and craft, mainly crochet, and I do crochet stitch tutorials, pattern tutorials, yarn hauls, yarn reviews, pretty much anything and everything that is crochet and craft related. If it fits in those categories, it's my jam. Today is the first in my series of my crochet hook review. For those of you that might not have caught the video I did about this previously, I am going to review several different crochet hooks and talk about how they're the same, how they're different, the things I prefer, things I dislike, and at the end of the series I'm going to go ahead and rank the hooks from my least favorite to my most favorite. So the ones you see in front of me are the ones that I currently have. I have several others on order, and if I get them in time, I will go ahead and include them. Otherwise, I'm just going to go with these 10. And just picking them up as I'm seeing them. We have the Furls Streamline. I think this is the teak one. This is a boy hook with an ergonomic handle. A Susan Bates with a bamboo handle. This is an Amazon purchase. It's kind of like an Addy knockoff. This is a Clover Amour. This is an Amazon purchase of a knockoff Clover Amour. We have a Tulipatimo. A Clover Soft Touch. An Addi Swing. And a Furls Odyssey. Those are the 10 that I will be reviewing for sure. Like I said, I have a couple more that may or may not get here in time. We shall see. But for today, I am choosing 3, and those 3 to review are the Odyssey, the Addy Swing, and the Clover Soft Touch. So let's get started with the review. Oh, okay. Before I start, here's a couple more things you need to know. I will be using the same yarn for all the swatches because I figured that's the only way it's really fair to be able to compare how they work. And I'm using Vanna's Choice from Lion Brand. And this is the color Lemon Pepper. Looks beige to me, but what do I know? It calls for, it's a medium 4 weight. It calls for an eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. So, which is appropriate since all of the hooks I'm using are 5.5 millimeter hooks. Because if you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know that's my favorite size hook. I try to use that with everything. So, we're using 5.5 millimeter hooks across the board. All 10 of them are 5.5 millimeters. And the other ones that I'm waiting for are also 5.5 millimeters. We're using the same yarn, which is the Vanna Choice. So hopefully that should give enough of a uniform experience so that we can get a really good idea of how these hooks work across the board. in comparison to each other. Okay, now with that said, I'm going to take the band off of this because I tried to do a center pull, but it was not cooperating, and I am not about that yarn barf life if I can avoid it. So I'm going to take the band off. But I wanted to show you the yarn before I took the band off. So I'm just going to set this back behind here. You won't be able to see it, but I'm pulling from it. Let's set that aside for a second. Now, let's start with the Furls Odyssey. It's got a nickel neck. It's a plastic handle. This hook has some weight to it. Yeah, if this hook doesn't weigh a pound, I'd be shocked if it didn't. I don't have a scale to measure it, but I would wager it probably weighs about a pound. I could look it up. If I look it up and I find it how much it weighs, I'll add that up in the like info box. It's also a pretty. Where am I going? It's also a pretty long hook. It measures at 6.5 inches, so that's a decently lengthy hook. It's made by Furls, as in Furls Crochet, which a lot of you I'm sure know because people talk about Furls hooks a lot. And this one sells for roughly $37. It's probably the most expensive hook in my group, and it's a high quality hook. It feels good in your hand, but it's really heavy. Very, very heavy. I've also heard that you have to be careful because if you drop it, it'll crack between these two places. But Furls does have a policy for returning the items, although it seems to keep changing here and there. At one point, you could return it and just get a replacement. At other points, there are other fees involved. I'm not sure about that anymore. Again, if I can find out additional, updated information on that, I'll include it in the information box. But for now, know that you should probably just be careful with it. Don't drop it. You know how it goes. So, let's see how it crochets. Okay, so here's a starting chain, and I've started a row of half double crochet. Those of you that have watched my videos know that I am not a fan of single crochet, and double crochet would take too long for this demo, so that's why I'm going with my favorite stitch, the half double crochet. If you look at the chain, it made a very uniform chain, and so far the half double crochets are looking pretty nice. So let's just finish this row. Okay, as I mentioned, this hook is heavy. I like that it's got, any more yarn? It's a longer hook because it gives my hand plenty of room to grip it, which is a good thing because it's heavy. And if one part of my hand had to be more dependent on it than another to control it, I could see how whatever part of my hand that was being dominated by the hook would probably start to ache after a while. But even with that, I can already feel the weight of this in my wrist. Now, I could assume that with some muscle memory and repeated use, my wrist would get used to this. But, you know, when you do this for a living, you really can't risk, like, any sort of injury. What did I just do here? To your hand or your wrist, because, like, you know, that you're taking money out of your pocket. So, you don't really want to use a hook that may end up injuring you. So I don't know if heavier hooks tend to bother you, I mean, you could, I guess, try wearing a wrist brace when you use it, or, I don't know, do some extra wrist exercises. I'm not sure, but, yeah, this hook is very heavy, and I'm not really able to control that well. I mean, that's how this got all wonky. My wrist is really feeling this. It's starting to pull up through here. You can't see. Up through here in my arm when I use this. So I'm trying to reposition myself to see if doing it at a different angle might help. But I don't know. I'm going to try another pass. See if it gets any better. Because like I said, sometimes after some repetition, it gets a little easier to use. But I mean, mechanically, it's flowing. I mean, the yarn is just gliding over the neck, which is awesome. And the handle is big enough that my hand is firmly grasping it. It's really, honestly, it's the weight. The weight is pretty much the only turnoff I have on this hook. I mean, the head is nice. It's tapered. The neck is tapered up. You see that? It's got a rounder head, but you've got enough of a neck that you can really get a good grip on that yarn before you go into your work. And I could see that you could definitely pick up some serious speed with this hook. I've had it for a while. I've only used it a handful of times, so that's why I don't have any speed worked up with it. But I can imagine that if I could get past the weight of the hook, yeah, you could get some decent speed with this hook. Because, you know, like I said, mechanically, it works like a dream. I mean, comfort-wise, as far as, like, holding it, it feels great. But it's heavy. And this is what the swatch looks like. You have a good look at that. I mean, even with my, like, kind of wonkiness at the beginning, it made some very uniform stitches. It's a good hook. It's just too heavy for me. Let's just put it that way. It may be great for you, but for me, it's a little too heavy. But anyway, that is the Furls Odyssey, and I forgot to mention, I told you the general dimensions of it, but the handle is 4 inches, and the actual neck, or the shaft that you crochet with, is 2.5. So it's definitely got one of the longest shafts, or yeah, crochet necks, shanks, whatever you want to call it, that you're going to see on a 2-part hook. So yeah, that's the Odyssey. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up is the Addy Swing. Now, this might look kind of weird to you. You might not be able to figure it out. Is it the handle? No, that's not it. I'm going to guess it's the neck. This is the original Addy Swing. Yeah. The unique ergonomic handle, but a really, really ridiculously short neck. If you measure it, The hook itself is 6.5 inches, which is a decent sized length, but 5 of it was the handle. You only had 1.5 inches of a neck to crochet with. And a lot of people found that just intolerable if they could get past the handle, and so they don't like them. Well, Addi was like, hold my beer, and ta-da! Introducing the Maxi. The Addi Swing Maxi. It is 7 inches, and the handle is roughly 5.25, and the neck is a little over 1.5 inches. So it doesn't look like it's much longer, but it actually is. Let me hold them up. See? I use Addies a lot. This is not a shock to anybody. I'm sorry if I just made everybody seasick by bumping my camera. So this review I could pretty much do with my eyes closed. Addi is made in Germany. A lot of people know them for their knitting things, like their knitting machines and knitting supplies, but they also have several lines of crochet hooks, all of which are nice. I've only personally used the swings, but I know people that have other sets that like them as well. As I already showed you, it's a little over 7 inches in length, and it's got a handle that's roughly 5.25, and then the neck is like 1.75 inches, I guess. Whatever I said earlier, I don't remember. Rewind to see what I said. The thing about Addies is that people either love or hate is the handle, because of its shape. I mean, it's a very wonky shape. It is definitely one of the more unique handles you're going to find out there. For me personally, it sits perfectly in my hand. I've got enough room, you know. The end of the handle isn't poking me in the side of my hand. Yeah, it's got a thumb grip. Another thing a lot of people don't like about the Addi is that it almost forces you to crochet with the hook like this. And some people, that's annoying. So, I mean, a lot of people like to turn the hook to the side. But with this one, if you're going to actually hold the handle, you either have to hold it with it straight down, the hook straight down, or the hook straight up. Doesn't bother me, but a lot of people, it irritates them. So let's get started with the crocheting. Oh, and depending on where you buy these, they range from, like, I've seen them for like $12 on Hirschner's, up to like $17 or $18 if you buy them on the Addi site. So it just depends on where you get them. You see them on Amazon too, but you know, again, it just kind of depends on where you get them. They normally run between $12 and $17 each. So you can also buy them in sets, and the set is like $130 something, I believe. I think I paid $132 for my original Addi set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, I'm gonna go back up through here with another, keeping it real with half double crochets. I'm just gonna do a couple of rows to see how it works. I admit I definitely enjoyed the longer neck on the Addi Maxi, because as much as I like the Addi regular swings, the shorter neck did annoy me, because I always felt like I kind of choke up a little bit more than I like, because the neck was so short, and I was trying to make sure that the yarn, didn't slip off the neck. With these, I feel a little more comfortable with my thumb being further back. You know, I'm struggling. My struggle is more of the yarn than the hook. I haven't used a whole lot of acrylic yarns lately, so I'm really struggling to use them right now. It's okay. It's not that I haven't used acrylic. I've been using a lot of softer acrylics, acrylic blends, HB acrylic, stuff like that. This is just a regular, just like, you know, big box acrylic, and I'm not used to working with it anymore. So this is a bit of a challenge for me. So yeah, you're watching Mocha struggle a little bit. I would normally edit this out, but you know what? I'm not going to, because this is a hook review, and part of a hook review is how it works with yarn, and how and part of working with yarn is how the person that is using the yarn is navigating through it. So I'm gonna keep all this in. So there. But yeah, I'm just struggling with the yarn because I haven't used a regular acrylic in a while. So, but the hook itself, I mean, it's gliding through it once I get it through there. Like I said, I really enjoyed the longer shaft on this one. And if I were using a yarn other than an acrylic, I feel like I'm bashing acrylics. I'm not bashing acrylics. If you love your acrylics, I'm sorry, I just did that to the camera again. If you love your acrylics, your Red Hearts, your Vanna Choices, your Big Twists, go for it. Use them. Enjoy them. I have a lot of sensitivities to like textures, and once I kind of navigated away from regular acrylics onto like softer acrylics and acrylic blends, regular acrylics kind of just bother me texturally. Is that a word? It is now. So that's it. Again, it's my own personal issue. It's not a slam against acrylic yarn. I think all of us on this planet got started with, well, okay, unless you live on a sheep farm, probably got started with acrylic yarns when they started to learn crochet. So I'm never going to dump on acrylics, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am now. I just, you know, it's just a hand sensitivity thing for me at this point. But because I want it to be consistent, and I wanted to use something that everybody would get their hands on so they could relate to how my experience was going, I went with a big box acrylic. So that's why I'm struggling a little bit. It's nothing against the yarn. It's all about me. With all that said, and me chattering and being an apologist, I finished the swatch with the Addy. And that's how it looks. And yes, my dog is barking in the background. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. I live in a house with children and pets and other adults, and this is just what happens. Anyway, this is the swatch from the Addi Maxi, and I'm going to go see what my dog's barking about, and then I'll be back with the next hook. Hang on. Okay, our final entry for the day is the Clover Soft Touch. Okay, so one thing I'm sure you've noticed is this is a short hook. It's a small hook. It's 5 1/4 inches from one end to the other. It's a Minion hook. That's why I call it. It's my Minion hook. If I were a little yellow one-eyed guy that ran around saying unintelligible things, this hook would be perfect for me. Yes, I'm kind of outing myself already, but I mean, here's my hand. There's the hook. This is about to be an interesting experience. So, anyway, it's made by Clover, who makes fantastic hooks, by the way. And the first thing is, this hook is pretty. I mean, I love the gold. of the shaft, and it's a nickel shaft that's painted gold. So I imagine this could be used for like a variety of yarns because it's not going to have that much friction, which sometimes you run into, and that annoying squeak that some people talk about. You don't get that with these hooks because of the nickel plating. It's got a nice a spot for your thumb, which isn't going to work for me because I don't. Yeah, look. I mean, my hand is literally swaddling this hook. You get these pretty much anywhere, and they run, I want to say, if I remember correctly, $5, like at Walmart or Joann's or on Amazon. So, I mean, you can get them fairly cheaply and pretty much anywhere. So, if you're looking for a hook that, like, if you lose one, you can replace it real quick, the Soft Touch fits that criteria. Let's see how it crochets. You guys want to see me start from the beginning of the swatch and do the rows, or would you rather I just cut that out and just jump into the actual swatches, like the half double crochets? I could do it either way. I just, I figured since chaining is definitely part of crocheting, showing that experience is like important. But if you don't want to see that part, I can cut that out. Just let me know in the comments. Oops. Apparently, I cannot chain and talk at the same time. Which, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. But chaining and no. Let's see how many do I have here. Also, if it looks weird, keep in mind I'm a southpaw, a left-handed crocheter, so often my crocheting looks weird to people on camera, but it looks perfectly normal to me. I'm trying to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. One more. 15. Okay, so, it chained okay. So, I mean, I'm holding it. I can't say it's the most comfortable I've experienced because it is so short, and I feel like I'm at the verge of dropping it at any given point. And because it's so short, my thumb is literally all the way up here. A lot of times my thumb goes up there just out of habit with other hooks. But with this one, it almost feels like a necessity because I'm using it to make sure that the yarn stays put. And it's also giving me a little more of a control on the rest of the hook so I don't drop it. Because I literally feel like I'm about to drop this hook with every stitch I make. Like I said, the nickel definitely helps with the... Although I am getting a little sound out of this. I'm kind of shocked. So maybe I had that the other way around. Maybe it didn't... No. Nickel normally doesn't make a squeak, but I don't know if you can hear this or not. But... you probably can't hear it. I don't know if my microphone's picking it up. But it's not a squeak, it's just it's the sound of something happening. It's the best way to describe it. So I guess if you're sensitive to sound, don't crochet in silence. If you want to use this hook, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe use a different yarn, a softer, not even soft, a smoother yarn maybe. Because this yarn kind of has a coarse feel to it. So maybe if you're using a smoother yarn, it might not be as noticeable. Am I doing this on camera? I'm sorry if I just crocheted all that off camera. My bad. But I mean, performance-wise, it's doing well. I mean, as you can see, I'm already on my second row. And that's with kind of fighting with it a little bit because of the size. Again, if you guys are getting seasick, let me know. I'll send you a free bottle of Dramamine because I keep bumping my camera. I switched up my filming style a little bit for this. I'm going to be able to do an overhead shot, and well, now I'm back to trying to figure out how to maneuver my hands around it and not bump it. And it's an experience. The life of a YouTuber, a crocheter that films. Let me tell you. A lot of people want to get on here and say, "Oh, it's easy to make videos. How hard can it be?" People, this ain't easy. I love it. I enjoy doing it, and I will do this forever. But to say that it's an easy thing to do would be a lie. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of planning, some serious dedication. But, you know, all in all, if you really want to, like, show people things and help people, it's a good way to do it. So I enjoy it immensely. What is wrong with me? One more time. I'm not sure my problems now are because I'm working higher up on a row, or what, or I'm just chatting too much, not paying enough attention. But yeah, that was a little bit of a hiccup back there. But I recovered. Woohoo. And where'd you go? That's the swatch for the soft touch. So now let's compare them. This is the swatch with the soft touch. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. This is the swatch with the Furls Odyssey. Let me make sure I'm setting these all up in the right order. Oh, flip it. And that's the Addy. So, first thing I'm noticing, the Odyssey swatch is bigger. You see how much bigger it is than the soft touch? I mean, it may not look that much bigger, but it is bigger. And then here's the Addy, which is roughly the same size. Oh, it's about the same size as the soft touch. Yeah, it is. So the Furls Odyssey is crocheting larger than the other two. I didn't mention this, but yeah, this is. Oh, I mentioned about the Furls Odyssey. It's got the. The Odyssey is weird because it's got the Susan Bates tapered neck, but it's got a boy rounded head. The Clover is very similar to that, but it's got a closer to a Susan Bates tip because it's pointier. And the Addy is much like the Furls, only the neck isn't quite as inline. You see that? What am I doing? Yes, it isn't quite as inline, but it also has a boy rounded head. So one of the other things I really want to talk about here was how interchangeable these hooks would be. So if I were to take, like, say, this swatch that I made with the soft touch and decided that I wanted to continue with the Addy Swing, judging from these swatches, there wouldn't be a whole lot of difference. However, if I went from a Furls Odyssey to, say, an Addy or a Clover Soft Touch, the stitches would probably shrink this down. Or if I went the other way, I'd used the Addy or the Clover and I wanted to use the Odyssey, I would end up stretching out my stitches. So with that in mind, I'd say that you could interchange between the Addy and the Clover, but the Odyssey, you probably, once you start with it, you should probably continue with it because it's definitely unique as far as how it makes its stitches. None of them crocheted badly. All of them, I've gotten uniform stitches. But if I were to, like, preference-wise, the Odyssey is just too heavy. The soft touch is too small. This is my personal preference. Soft touch is too small. So with this round, I'd have to give it to the Addi Swing Maxi. And with that, thus endeth the first series in the crochet hook review. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you have any hooks that I haven't already mentioned that you think I could consider including, let me know, and if I could get them fast enough, I'll see what I can do. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like this video, hit the dislike button. Either way, whether you like it or you dislike it, a view is a view, so thanks. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you know the next time I upload a video. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.